So now when it comes to this upgrade, what do I think? How do I feel about this upgrade? What's going on, guys? Leaf right here. Welcome to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about the newly announced Canon R6 Mark II and how it compares to the R6 that was released back in 2020. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. All right, guys, welcome back. So like I said, we're going to get into the conversation about the R6 Mark II and kind of compare it to the older model, the R6 that was released back in 2020. So about going on almost 3 years now. So it's kind of crazy they already announced a Mark II version when the R6 isn't even 3 years old right now. So, but it is what it is. We're going to talk about it, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I think about it. So disclaimer, I haven't had my hands on it, so I don't really know how it functions. I'm just going off the reviews, the specs that I have seen of people that actually have held and used the camera. So that's where I'm getting my information from. So, and I'm going to give you my thoughts and my opinions. So let's go ahead and talk about it. And first off, we're going to talk about some of the highlighted features that are out there. We have the new 24 megapixel sensor, not stacked sensor like the R3, but it is a new 24 megapixel sensor that Canon says will have the same low light performance as the current R6. Not sure how they're going to do that with smaller pixels, but I'm sure it's something the camera's doing internally, but I haven't seen anything as far as how it performs in low light, so we'll just have to kind of wait and see if that statement is really true. The second feature out there is the 40 frames a second with the electronic shutter versus the R6 has 20 frames per second when it comes to the electronic shutter. To me, that's not a huge deal. I don't shoot big burst photos like that, so not a big deal to me. But for someone that might need that, they do sports, football, basketball, car racing, stuff like that, where they need to just get multiple frames per second, super fast shutter speed, then I guess that'll work for you. And then with the electronic shutter, they still has 20 frames per second, just like the current R6. The autofocus system is a little bit improved compared to the current R6. You're able to now recognize horses, trains, airplanes. I don't know if you're into that kind of thing. I guess it's a good update if that's something you specialize in. You want to take photos of or video. So that there is that as well. When it comes to the video aspect, the 4K 60 is no longer cropped versus the R6 has a minimal 1.1 times crop. So barely any crop at all. So I guess you're sacrificing a little crop with the R6 versus the new R6 Mark II. Again, you have to decide if that's something that's worth it to you. When it comes to slow motion, they now have full HD at 180 frames per second as well, versus the R6 just has the 120 frames per second. So if you want that super slow-mo at 180 frames, you will have that with the R6 Mark II. Another feature is you can record 6K RAW to an external recorder, so that's something kind of nice. There are no all-eye codecs when it comes to video. It's still the same compressed IVP codec, so that to me was kind of a bummer. Another thing they put inside this camera is more exposure features such as zebra lines and false colors, which is nice if you're wanting to dial in that exposure when you are shooting video. So that is definitely a very nice feature that they put inside this new camera that is coming out, the R6 Mark II. And the last feature that I've seen is the dials are a little bit different. The dial on the left that used to be the on-off button is now camera photo specifically. You can put in whichever mode you want, and then your on-off switch is on the very far right with the lock button. And now you can actually have custom modes for video and photo versus the R6. You don't have custom modes for photo, which was very limiting in my personal opinion. And also, I was wrong. One more thing. There is no 30-minute recording limit. So that is definitely a plus if you do long form content. Now, as far as some of the elephant in the room features that I have not really seen the answer to, the overheating, I don't know. I mean, I personally have not had any issues with overheating when it comes to my R6, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, it could if I did more long form content. I don't do that, so again, not really affecting me. And then the Ibis Wobble, again, haven't seen much on that, if that issue has been addressed or not. Again, I'm not sure. I personally, again, Have not had any issue with it. I don't turn on the digital IS. I just use the Ibis inside the camera. So, and my wide angle lens, like if I'm doing any kind of vlogging or moving around, the wide angle lens has no stabilization within the lens. So I haven't personally seen any wobbling issue on my end. I'm going to put a video up so you guys kind of see, but again, I don't know if that's been solved with the R6 Mark II. We'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens. So now when it comes to this upgrade, what do I think? How do I feel about this upgrade? I feel like it's kind of a meh kind of upgrade. There's some good spec updates that should have probably been in the R6 initially. It's good things they put in. It's not like it's like, why'd you put that in? That's stupid. No, they put some good things in. It's probably stuff that should have already been in the original R6. It's a good upgrade. I don't really care about the 40 frames per second. I don't really care about the zebras and false colors. They're nice to have, but it doesn't really matter to me. The 4K 60, no crop, doesn't really bother me because again, it's barely any crop on the R6 currently. The 6K RAW, that's cool and all, but honestly, I'm probably never going to use it. I've had cameras where I could record 10-bit externally when they were 8-bit cameras, or I've had cameras that could record 6K RAW to an external recorder. Never used it before, so I really don't think it's going to be a big deal for me personally. What I did like was the no recording limit. Even though I don't do long form content, I like that there was no recording limit. I love that they had the custom modes finally where you could do video and photo. That is something that should have been in the R6 originally. I don't know why. I thought that was the dumbest thing they could have done. So I liked that. I really did like that feature of it. And the last thing that I liked was that they just kept the same overall design. I'm glad they didn't make too many changes because in my opinion the current design of the camera looks great, feels great in the hand, the ergonomics is great. I mean, it's hard to complain about how this camera looks and feels in the hand. So those are my 3 things. Now when it comes to upgrading, if you currently have an R6, I don't think it's really worth the upgrade unless you want the 4 extra megapixels or you need the 40 frames per second mechanical shutter. But if you have the R6, I don't feel like you're missing out. I don't feel like I'm missing out, and I'm not saying that just because I got this camera a couple months ago. Now they came out with a new version and I'm trying to convince myself. No, I'm not. There's no specs on there that was like blew me away, like, oh my god, I need to get the new R6 Mark II and trade in my R6 that came out just 2 years ago. So I don't feel like it's a must to upgrade if you have like a current R6. Unless you have the money and you want to go do it, by all means, you know, do what makes you happy. If that's what you want, if you need the latest and greatest, by all means do it. But I don't feel like it's a must, but that's just my humble opinion. You don't have to agree with me. You can tell me that you disagree with me down in the comments below. I don't care. But I just want to put that out there. Who I feel like this would be a good upgrade for, if you're coming from, you know, a DSLR, if you're coming from the Canon EOS R, you're coming from the Canon EOS RP, I think it'd be a solid upgrade. I don't think there's reason to get the R6 if you have the money. If you're going to be spending $24.99 on either of these cameras, I don't know if the R6 is going to go down in price or not, but if it's the same price as the R6 Mark II, you might as well get the latest and greatest version. But again, it's your money. You decide, do your research of what you want and what you feel like is best for you. So anyways, guys, that is my thoughts, my reactions on the new Canon R6 Mark II. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If there's anything you guys want to see, please let me know. And if you're not already subscribed, I'd love to if you hit that subscribe button and follow me along on this journey. I will see you guys the next time I make a video. Have a good one.